Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another TheMMATakeover.com interview. My name is Keith Schillen. Today's guest has been a professional mixed martial arts fighter for 8 years. He has a record of 26-6 and is making his 15th appearance for Bellator and is the current Bellator featherweight champion. He is making his long-awaited return to the cage at Bellator 178 on April 21st at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, when he takes on his longtime rival, Patricio Pitbull Ferreira. Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Straus. Daniel, how you been?
What's going on, my man? I'm been good. How are you?
Good, man. I appreciate you coming on. This is actually the first time we got to speak with you, so I'm always excited to get a first-time guest. I know you're right in the middle of camp, or actually probably at the end of your camp. We're filming this right now. It's April 11th, a little after 3 p.m. on the East Coast. I know you're extremely busy, so we appreciate just taking some time and letting us get to know you a little bit.
Appreciate it.
So, I know you've been asked this a million times already, it's not going to be any original, but just in case someone doesn't know much about you, tell us how you got into mixed martial arts.
I actually made through a buddy of mine's. It's kind of no secret anymore, but I actually had ran into a friend after, doing some time. I used to wrestle in high school, and ran into a buddy, and he kind of asked me to come to the gym, and that's kind of how it started for me. So I went to the gym, and I never looked back.
Yeah, and now you're professional. You've been in it for a long time. You're doing it full time. You're one of the highest ranked featherweights in the entire world, and obviously a great success story. You're from Cincinnati. How'd you hook up with American Top Team, which is down in Coconut Creek, Florida?
Well, I actually, funny story. I fought for shark fights, and actually before I even fought for shark fights, I had my first fight with Bellator, and then I went out and fought for shark fights, and George Masvidal was fighting on the card. I was a huge fan of George. And after the fight, I got to talking with George, and he's like, hey, if you ever want to come down, just come down. Well, I used to live in Gainesville, so I was really looking forward to coming down. So I had another fight, and this is about the time that Georgie was going to fight for the Strikeforce belt.
Okay.
And so I came down, helped George with his camp, and kind of started from there. I just started doing my camps down at ATT. And never really looked back.
And you're doing the camp at ATT for this fight, correct?
Yeah, I live here now.
Okay, how long have you been? Let me rephrase this. How long has this camp been? Like 8 weeks, 10 weeks? What?
Man, this camp has been extremely long. I originally signed my contract back in November.
Yeah.
And I've been in camp, and it was due to fight in January.
Yeah.
And got pulled off of that card. So I stayed in camp, was supposed to fight in February, and got pulled off of that card, still in camp, and then got pushed back to April. So I've been in camp for quite some time now.
So I'm sure you're probably dying to get back in there.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to go, man. It's been too long.
All right, so you name dropped a little bit with Jorge Masvidal. Who else, who's your main training partner? So you training with for this fight?
Everybody, man. I don't really have a main training partner.
Well, people love hearing the name drops, like Jorge Masvidal, different things like that. Will Brooks, anybody like that?
Right. Well, yeah, I get to work with them here and there, and just everybody at the gym. I work with everybody, so I don't really, like I said, have a main training partner, but I do get to work with all the guys.
All right. So one thing that always stands out to me is how come you don't have a nickname?
I'm sorry.
One thing that stands out about you is you don't have a nickname. What's up with that?
Yeah, man. Actually, my full name is Daniel Mason Straus, and I kind of dropped the Mason and just kept Daniel Straus. And the reason why I never gave myself a nickname is because I really didn't need it. I wasn't one of those guys that just wanted to come in with this savage nickname, and I always said my name is going to speak for itself, and that's what I believed in. So.
Okay.
Never.
Well, that's That's pretty ironic because the guy you're fighting is actually mostly known by his nickname. They hardly ever use his last name. They use, Patricio
Yeah,
Pitbull. Um,
yeah,
s-
yeah.
so let's talk about that. Obviously, Pitbull is a guy you're very familiar with. You fought him 3 times already. You're fighting him. Last time you fought was 17 months ago. You won. It was the third fight. He won the first two. You won the third. You won the title. Unfortunately, you suffered a really bad broken hand that required surgery. Um, so my first question is, how's the hand doing, man?
It's good. It took me 3 surgeries to get better,
Jeez.
and yeah, it was pretty brutal. So, I'm sorry for the dogs, but
That's all right.
yeah, it was rough. It was hard to. It was really hard, man. It was really it fucked with me a little bit, and
Wow.
I just knew that I had to, you know, just fight through it.
Yeah. Now, I mean, this gonna sound like a stupid question. I should have done my preparation. Which hand is it? Is it your left hand or your right hand?
My left hand.
Left hand. Okay. And you're fully confident with it? You're punching with it again. Everything's no.
Oh yeah,
'Cause, I
yeah.
mean,
I'm fully confident.
yeah. I mean, a lot of times guys when they suffer an injury, especially hands injury, because obviously they break very easily afterwards. A lot of guys will talk about that. They have to get over the mental aspect. I mean, did you have anything like that where you had to get over a mental aspect to be able to use it?
When I first got back to the gym, I did. You know how it is. You have a hand injury, you don't want to re-hurt it, but I'm kind of a little crazy, so I really don't give a fuck.
Okay.
It's just, if it's gonna
Okay.
break, it's gonna break. So
Okay.
I just,
I mean, you already fought with the broken. You broke it and you kept fighting, and obviously was successful and won. Um,
yeah.
so let's talk about this upcoming fight. You're very familiar with Pitbull. You fought him 3 times. When they came to you and said, "Hey, we want to do a fourth fight with Pitbull," is that something you were excited about? Saying, "Hey, he's up 2-1 on me. Maybe I can tie it up," or is it just like you don't even think about those fights, and this is just like, okay, next guy up?
It's just the next guy up for me. I didn't really think about it. They told me who I was gonna fight. They asked they sent me the contract and I signed the contract. I've never, looked at the contract and worried about who it was. So,
Okay.
I knew I would see him again. We have some pretty epic fights. Our first fight was really close. Our
Hmm.
second fight, I was dominated him and
Winning. Yep.
lost. Yeah, and then the third fight, went the way it did. So it was only natural that I probably would fight him again. I didn't think it was going to be so soon, but with him continuing to grow in Bellator the way he did while I was out, he had a successful win, and then he had a pretty good showing with Ben Henderson before he broke his leg. So I knew it was going to be one of those things where if I get back in time and he's healed, they would probably have us fight. So it's about the numbers, man. People want to see good fights, and that's one thing that we do. We put on good fights. So it was to be expected.
Okay. So, I mean, you don't hear about guys fighting 4 times often. I mean, I don't think it's ever happened in Bellator before. It hasn't happened in the UFC. But one thing that really stands out to me is I'm not hearing really a lot of complaints about it. It seems like generally from the public, people are pretty excited that you guys are fighting again. Have you had any people complaining about this matchup?
Yeah, at first you get people that say, really, you're going to fight him again? I know you're sick of fighting him. And, that's natural. But for the real fight fans, they love it. Like I said, we're barn burners. We go in there and we throw, and we're gonna have a good fight.
Yep.
So, the real fans want to see this again. People that really love fighting and really love, two guys going at it, don't have a problem with this fight because of our talents.
Sure.
He won't give up. I won't give up, and that puts on for a good show. So, the people that really complained about it are the ones that probably just turned on the TV for the first time and heard 3 or 4 and like, oh man, really?
Yeah.
So the ones that do complain about it haven't seen the first 3 or haven't seen
Yeah, they've been great
even the
fights.
first 2 fights. So
Yeah. So, I mean, you're always improving. He's always improving. Obviously, you guys are very familiar with each other. I've said it a couple times now. But, for someone who doesn't know, when you're looking at Pitbull, what strengths do you need to be aware of? Like, what is his strengths that, like, okay, I got to be aware of this in the fight, and then flip that over, obviously without telling us your strategy, what weaknesses do you see in him that you think you can exploit?
I mean, the weaknesses that I see is I keep to myself,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it's
I
no
got to try,
secret.
though,
Yeah. I feel you. I think the there's no secret. I mean, he's great on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's that's obviously where he wants to get me. He wants to get me taken down and choke me out, whatnot, and see. But for me, that's where I've been working really hard on, and it's also somewhere where I feel comfortable at now. So,
Okay.
I just, I see it going my way.
All right, so I mean, some people have been long layoffs. They've talked about ring rust. They have said it affected them. Other guys, most famous Dominic Cruz says that there's no such thing as ring rust. Are
Yeah.
you worried about ring rust at all?
No, not at all, man. That's the mindset.
Okay.
To me, fighting is fighting. If you know how to fight, then it doesn't matter if it's been a year, 10 years, 5 years, two
Okay.
months, whatever. I know what I need to do. I need to get in, throw my hands, move around. You know what I mean? I need to, stay focused on what he's doing. So ring rust is just an excuse. It's something that you use as an excuse as far as not being ready or
Okay.
not winning a fight in my eyes.
All right. For some reason, if you lose fight, you're not going to use that excuse. You're not going to say, "Hey, I've
Right.
been out." Okay. So let's talk about weight. Obviously, right now it's a big story. I mean, we're just a couple days past UFC 210. The big story was Daniel Cormier, using a towel. I mean, you might know a lot more about that than I do, but
Mhm.
getting off the last pounds. So obviously with Khabib Nurmagomedov missing weight, I mean, this theme like every weigh-ins is like a big spectacle now, waiting to see what's gonna happen. So let's talk about yours. You're 9 days away from making weight. What are you currently weighing? And
Uh,
is that gonna be an issue at all?
I hope not.
Okay.
You really don't know till you know. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I'm pretty low. I don't feel like my weight is bad. I've never missed weight. I only have one weight issue, and that's actually my first time I had to defend the belt. I really had nothing to cut, so I cut my hair, and
Okay.
that's what a lot of people remember me from. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really have many weight issues. Like I said, I missed a fight or missed weight.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do. It's part of my job. I'm just gonna make sure I make weight any way I need to, and get to fighting.
Yeah. I mean, how much do you cut like the last minute? Like a lot of guys. Let me rephrase that. Like, how much water weight do you take off the last minute?
A lot, man. Like 10 to 15. You know what
Wow.
I mean? I
Wow.
work with a company called Perfecting Athletes, and they've been working with me throughout my career, and they actually keep me pretty low and keep me pretty well. So I don't stop eating, I don't stop drinking, I continue to eat and drink as I
Okay.
cut weight. So it really helps me.
And you don't feel any effect by that?
No, no, I mean there's going to be some effects. Obviously
Hmm.
losing, you know, 20, 25 pounds or whatever, the 2 weeks before, you're cutting weight and it's going to affect you. But it doesn't draw me out to where I can't walk, I can't stand, I can't, piss or concentrate or anything like that. So that's why I've always been good when go back into the fights.
So after the weigh-ins, you rehydrate. Do you have any idea how much of that weight you put back on?
Yeah, sometimes. There's times where I've went into my fights 65, and there's been times
Wow.
where
Really?
I've
Wow.
got back up to, actually, one of my fights, was able to get back up to 70. So it
What?
all just depends.
So you can put on 25 pounds in a day.
Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy.
yeah.
You guys are professional. I know you guys are the best at doing it. But obviously, to me, I'm like, what, 25 pounds? Holy moly!
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not easy either.
yeah, no, no. I've seen weight cuts. I used to wrestle. I used to weight cut. Nothing like what you guys are doing. But that is insane to be able to take off that much weight and then put it back on. And props to you for being able to do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what's next. So you say you beat Pitbull. You're still the champion. Obviously there's a lot of contenders in your division. Obviously Bellator's always bringing in new names, bringing in big names, guys from the UFC, guys from other organizations. Any idea who you want after him?
Um, I know there's a couple guys that are going to be fighting actually this week.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about?
You got Weichel
Yeah,
fighting.
White Chill. Yep.
He's been
Yeah.
chomping at the bit. I really want to, mix it up with him. And other than that, just keep bringing them in. Like I said, I'm not one that I don't care who it is.
Okay.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? You give me a contract, I'm gonna sign it. We're gonna fight.
Sure.
And when I sign that, I'm gonna start working towards, that strategy towards that guy. So, um, there's some new names. There's some guys that are in the 45 division that, haven't been tested yet that I would love to fight,
Okay.
and that's just how it is.
I think I know who you might be talking about. I'm going to get to them in a second. I just want to back up track. You talked about Daniel Weichel. Obviously, he's been in belts for a while. He's a pretty big name. He's going against John Teixeira, who's they're fighting this weekend. Um,
Uh
when do you have a prediction for that fight? And then how do you feel that you match up against both guys?
I don't have a prediction, man. That's just
Okay.
that's going to be a banger. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I love. Here's the thing about me. I'm not one of these guys that are. I'm a shit talker and
Yeah.
nothing like
Yeah.
that. I give each guy their props, and those
Sure.
are two hungry guys that are looking to fight, and I'm excited to see both of them fight. Another guy I'm excited to see fight is the Sanchez guy.
Okay. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
been dogging it and looking good as well.
Sure.
So for me, I'm a fan of these guys. Even if I have to fight them, I'm a fan of them. I
Sure.
love to see them mix it up, and then I love to test myself against them. So I'm really excited for those fights and seeing how they go. And I think one fight, he's going to go in there and try to get it done. But Teixeira, he's a hard hitter,
Yeah.
man. He's not about to give it up easy. So like I said, that's just going to be another banger.
Yeah, it's definitely a fight that's flying under the radar a little bit. So,
Definitely.
and I definitely think the winner of that fight might get matched up against obviously the winner of you and Pitbull.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and just to backtrack a little bit, you mentioned Sanchez. You're talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about Emmanuel Sanchez, who just beat Marcus Galvao a week ago. We actually got to talk to him. We got to interview him right before that fight. Obviously, we're fans of him because of that. But he missed weight, so I
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think they'll put him in the position for a title fight next. But he has been very impressive, and it's cool to see the champion noticing that.
Yeah, man. I notice a lot. I don't really speak on, a lot of things. I kind of keep quiet. Like I said, I'm not one of those guys that shit talk, but I notice a lot. Especially being out for this past year and a half.
Yeah.
Only thing I could do is watch. So,
Yep.
I've watched everybody. I've watched them grow. I've watched them, some fall or whatnot. But it's just been exciting to see. Like I tell everybody, man, fighting MMA is like a soap opera. If you watch long enough, it tells a story. So
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
just been watching the story unfold myself.
So when you're watching, say, Bellator coming on this weekend, you're watching. Are you studying, or are you just sitting back, relaxing and just enjoying a fight?
I'm always studying,
Okay.
but I'm also trying to relax as much as I can. But there's with me being in the sport, I have no choice but to study, watch, what they're doing, what did I do if I was in that situation. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm definitely studying, but I try to watch as a fan as much as I can.
Okay. On the undercard of your fight is a big name prospect. I'm sure you're familiar with. AJ McKee is a guy that they're really kind of working up slowly. Obviously his father was a very successful MMA fighter. He's going against another guy, Dominic Mazzotti, is a very impressive prospect. He's only got one loss in his career, two-weight pinnacle champion. Are these guys on your radar at all?
Um, I mean,
They're in your weight class.
yeah, I mean they're in my weight class. We could say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they got to get done. Of course, I've seen them, fight. And once they get, to where they need to be, then yeah, I'll tell you that they're on my radar. But I'm, just sitting back watching, just like everybody else is. I hear the noise, but it doesn't concern me.
Okay. So, any idea? You stay injury free. Any chance you get on that New York City card?
Let's hope so.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you'd be pushing for it.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely be pushing for it. I want to fight 3-4 times if I can this year. I know
Okay.
it's already getting towards the second part of the year, and I want to stay active. I've been going for a little bit, so I'm excited to come back. I'm excited to stay healthy and be able to bounce back. My age is getting up there, so it's like the clock's ticking. The more I can fight, the better I am. So.
All right. So one thing we always do here, we go to a forum, we ask fans, say, hey, we got a question with Daniel Straus. What is your question? So this question comes in from, and I might butcher this name, I apologize. His name is Emil Thorup. He is from Swinborg, Denmark. So we're going to international question. His
Nice.
question to you, Daniel, is, and he wanted me to let you know he's a fan. His question is, What would be a dream matchup for you?
A dream matchup for me. A dream matchup for me is who, I don't really have a name, but
Okay.
whoever's the hottest at the time,
Okay.
whoever has the most noise and
Yeah.
can make the weight, throw
Okay.
me in. If you think he's the beast, throw me against him.
Okay.
For a long time, when I first started the sport, Jose Aldo was that
Okay.
name.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the guy that, and I respect him greatly.
Sure.
I've always wanted to mix it up with him because he's a beast. You
Yeah.
know,
Of
what I mean,
course.
how could you not want to test yourself? Guys like him, the Frankie Eggers,
Sure.
the Cub Swansons, the other guys in Bellator.
Uh-huh.
Just anybody that's unforgiving, anybody that's just gonna get in there and go balls to the wall. That's the type of fights that I want.
Okay. I mean, you named three big names. Those are matchups I think every fan would love to see. So let's hear it. What's your prediction for your fight?
For my fight, man, I really want to end it. So I'm trying to say a KO, TKO, and then the second and third round.
Okay. So all those people who like to gamble at home, make sure you take Daniel, take him by TKO, and you're gonna have a big payday.
For sure, I always bet on black.
Always bet on black. There you go. Yeah, and if they're going live, they'll be at Mohegan Sun, and they can gamble.
Yeah,
Get the betting at the sports. So everything in the same spot. Everything perfect for you.
definitely. If you're around, please make it out to the fight. It's gonna be awesome. Mohegan Sun, April 21st in Connecticut, man.
So, Daniel, we want to get you out of here. We know you're very busy in middle closing up your training camp. I know you're extremely busy. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. My very last question for you, Daniel, is: have you submitted to the takeover?
Yeah, man. This is Daniel Straus, and I've submitted to the takeover.
Daniel, for everyone here and all the listeners, we thank you for coming on. We ask that people listen, support you. We should look in this fight and all future fights. And welcome to the MMA Takeover family.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our interview with Bellator featherweight champion Daniel Straus. Make sure to check out his fight against Patricio Pitbull at Bellator 178 on Friday, April 21st, live on Spike TV or at Mohegan Sun Arena. Also, to receive the best MMA coverage, head over to our website, themmmatakeover.com. That's themmatakeover.com. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for listening.